centers on each end, and then I offset 1/2 inch. So straight down, and then this one will be like on the same side, okay, up and up. You gotta make sure you're doing that, because if you don't, you're gonna have your piece of wood like this. So when you start, you go center, so it'll be like regular spindle turning. We're going to start off with just a 3/4 inch spindle roughing out. And I like my roughing out, I like it at 35 degrees. Most of them are at 45 degrees when you buy them. And most people leave them at 45. I like them at 35. I'm just going to round the whole thing off. Because when I move it that 1/2 inch, it's going to be so much out of balance that I don't want to make it worse. You should always shut the lid off when you're moving the banjo. So anytime you're doing a turning on a spindle turning, most every time, you always start on this side, on this end, because this is your drive end. So when you're turning it down and you're getting smaller at this end, so you work your way back. Because if you start here and you got a small end here, it's going to vibrate when you're cutting up here. So to help alleviate that, you always start at the tailstock end, because this is your drive end. And depending how small you go, it could actually break off. If you get a bit of a catch, it could break this piece of wood off. Not this size, but a smaller, That's just a general rule. It's not necessarily applicable too much tonight, but you can see like this is pretty small. This is somewhat bigger, so that's what we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna measure this off roughly. And there. Try to duplicate this guy. move it to the other mark, the other. So before when I marked it, I used the self-centering punch and a little dimple. See how much that around now? So it's going to shake. So you can't spin that at 2,000 RPM. You're going to have to turn it down quite a bit. Oh, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. It's not something I do all the time. These off-center turns. There's a practical use to it. I've never had one. So I'm back on center. I'm going to turn the back, like from here and to here. Leave this here. So this is going to be where the off-center is going to be. So if you're getting chips like this, that means you're doing it right. There. Looks like a bat, eh? Oh, by the way, this is birch, white birch. So if you look here, you see the difference in the movement? That's how much wood I'm going to be taking off in the middle here. So it's going to go from, this is the low point, and then I'm going to take it all off up here, and it's going to, I'll take it down to about here, like the same distance. I like to use a bowl gouge for that, because I have to go around in there. So I'm going to use a bowl gouge. You can use a spindle gouge. You can use a small roughing gouge. You know, you could even use I don't know how to say it, but a scraper. So turn on your speed.
It was already freaking me out before I started doing that. something in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not good enough. Not good enough.
How thick is that plexiglass?
Not thick enough. Like over there.
There's a lot of air being cut. And you can stop it, check your progress.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
So it's starting to look like something. So I'm gonna leave it like that for now. I might have to come back and take a little bit off. So now I'm gonna turn a little bit coming this way to get these down. And when you first make these off-center turnings, sometimes it can be a lot of trial and error. And once you figure it out, mark it down so that you can remember. Of course, I didn't do that. The only thing I remember was half inch.
And where was the half inch?
I marked it on the end. I offset it by half.
Oh, okay, yeah, I understand what you meant.
You can kind of see, if you're looking at the shadow, you can kind of see where I have to cut, how far I gotta go. You can see the line coming up here. Oh, I gotta take that line off. From here to there, I take all that off. starting to look like something. So we're gonna take a little bit off here. My banjo at home, I basically just let the handle go and it locks. That's a one-way banjo for you. These guys here, you gotta reach from them. Oh, right. That was not supposed to happen. Might not look pretty now. That's not too bad. There. A little bit off here. Another thing you gotta do when you're doing off-center trimming, your pieces on the ends are gotta be a little bit bigger than what you normally would maybe start with, because if you're offsetting it, you gotta have wood behind there to hold it. I'm just gonna take a little bit more off in here. But you guys get the idea what happens when you move the piece of wood over.
So John, you have one end of that offset, and the other end is on center, right?
No, both of them are exactly the same offset on this project here.
Okay.
Sometimes, depending what you're building or working on, you can offset just one end.
But the table legs should get different offsets on each end.
Speaking of table legs, there's cabriolet legs here that were off-centered. So there's a bunch of different stuff in here. You can pass that around if you want, without turning. That was all made by, we had a fella here in 2014, a guy by the name of Mark Sifri, something like that. And he was here doing a demo. We paid to get him here, and we were set up in a lecture hall up there, and this guy did some offset to turn. So,
Yeah, that is cool.
not the prettiest, but you have to do it. So I'm gonna stand a little bit in the middle here.
That sanding will help that transition a little bit.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Back to the middle, finish off that. So this is a spindle gal. a 1/16 turning tool. I'm gonna use that to cut off the ends. I suppose I could shut it off and have a look, make sure it looks not too bad. Went a little bit too far.
Cut it off the band.
Is that a tip or a trick?